The World Cup officially kicks off today. And, while millions of fans are going to be completely glued to the star players stepping onto the pitch, I want to talk about something else entirely. What if I told you that the real battle, the one that's actually going to decide who advances and who packs their bags, is happening right there on the sidelines? Welcome to The Explainer, guys. Today, we're zooming in on Group L, and trust me, the dynamics here are absolutely fascinating. Okay, let's dive right into this. Group L brings together four totally distinct nations: England, Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. Now, obviously, only two of these teams can make it out. But while everyone else on social media is busy debating player form or squad depth, we are going to take a totally different route. We're looking at the hidden influence of managerial life cycles, leadership momentum, and the sheer force of coaching philosophy to predict how this is going to play out. So for this explainer, we're actually tossing out standard player rankings. Yep, completely ignoring them. Instead, we are focusing exclusively on the coaches, their biographies, their deep-seated tactical identities, and some incredibly revealing esoteric data. Specifically, we're bringing in the DOMS-NUMS system, which uses numerology to map out a person's life cycles and energetic momentum. Because look, when you have a true group of death like this one, the margins for error are razor thin. A manager's personal momentum? That might just be the ultimate tiebreaker. Just take a look at this breakdown. These are the big three touchline titans of Group L. You've got Thomas Tuchel representing England, Zlatko Dalic for Croatia, and Carlos Queiroz leading Ghana. Look at those defining achievements. We're talking a Champions League winner, a World Cup runner-up, and a legendary global journeyman. They've taken drastically different paths to arrive at this exact moment in 2026, and their individual stories are going to collide spectacularly over the next few weeks. First up, let's talk about Thomas Tuchel, the tactical mastermind. So, England's manager, Thomas Tuchel, was brought in with one undeniable mandate: win the 2026 World Cup. Inheriting what is arguably England's most talented squad in decades brings a monumental level of pressure. It really makes you wonder if his numerical momentum points to a massive breakthrough or, well, just another near miss. Born in Bavaria in '73, Tuchel brings this elite, club-honed obsession with tactical rigor. Surprisingly, this is actually his first ever international management gig, having previously led massive clubs like Chelsea, where he won the Champions League, by the way, PSG, and Bayern Munich. He's so highly rated by the FA that his contract was already extended to Euro 2028 after a record-breaking qualification run. Now, Tuchel is famous for employing something called differential learning. Basically, he creates these mentally exhausting, super complex training scenarios, like changing the pitch dimensions or throwing in bizarre extra rules, so that the actual match feels easy by comparison. He pairs all of that with intense video analysis to build absolute player resilience. Now let's shift gears to Zlatko Dalic, the ultimate national hero. If Tuchel is the analytical club tactician, Dalic is the emotional architect. He is driven by this incredibly deep connection to his players and some really powerful nation-building rhetoric. And honestly, his record is staggering. Appointed back in October 2017, he took Croatia all the way to the 2018 World Cup final, grabbing silver, and then followed that up with a bronze medal in 2022. He actually just celebrated his 100th match in charge, which is insane loyalty in modern football. He even rejected a massive, highly lucrative offer from Qatar just so he could honor his commitment to this team. Dalic's squad really represents the resilience of a nation forged by conflict, giving them this collective fortitude that is just so hard to break down. But the real question is his energetic cycle still active, or are we looking at the final chapter for this golden generation? And this brilliantly illustrates the clash of styles we're about to witness. On one side, you have Tuchel's aggressive, fluid formations, usually a 3-4-2-1 or 4-2-3-1, and his high-intensity gegenpressing. He relies heavily on rest vertaiticum, or rest defense, which means meticulously positioning players while they're attacking to instantly crush any counterattacks. Then, on the flip side, Dalic has stubbornly relied on his trusted 4-3-3, though he is kind of evolving to a 3-4-2-1 right now to adapt to his aging, battle-hardened veterans, and yes, that includes his legendary 40-year-old captain, Luka Modric. It is literally the ultimate chess match between intense modern analytics and savvy veteran game management. All right, moving on to the global journeyman himself, Carlos Queiroz. Guys, Group L has an absolute bombshell storyline, and his name is Carlos Queiroz. After Ghana's previous manager was let go following some really brutal defeats, Queiroz was brought in just 72 days before the tournament. I mean, look at this staggering timeline. Queiroz is arguably one of the most widely traveled international coaches in football history. He's managed in over 10 countries: South Africa back in 2002, Portugal in 2010,
3 consecutive World Cups with Iran where he basically turned them into this incredibly disciplined defensive wall. He even took Egypt to the AFCON final in 2021. This is a guy whose survival skills are completely unmatched. And let's not forget, he was Sir Alex Ferguson's trusted assistant at Manchester United. People widely credit him with building the defensive foundations of Ferguson's greatest teams. And now? Now he's here for a short-term, high-stakes rescue mission with Ghana.
Which brings us to the Dums Nums Life Graph reveal. So we know the histories and the tactics, but what happens when we look deeper into the esoteric Doms Nums profiling specifically calculated for the wild card of this group, Carlos Queiroz? Notice that massive peak on his life graph, right up there at age 69? That charts his energetic momentum, and it aligns perfectly with the year 2022, which was the absolute summit of his energy arc. But look really closely at where the graph is right now. Heading into this 2026 World Cup at age 73, he's recently crossed into a falling momentum phase that kicked off at age 72. So technically speaking, his energy cycle is in a phase of release and recalibration, not aggressive growth.
But what's really fascinating is how these numbers perfectly align with his real-world reputation. Queiroz's core character number is 494, which points to someone who is a very deep thinker and a meticulous planner. Even more telling is his life path 4, the Builder, which is connected to the wood element. This speaks directly to exactly why he is globally renowned for creating compact, highly structured, and notoriously difficult to break down defensive teams. I mean, he literally has the numerical profile of a defensive architect.
Just listen to this quote from his profile. The Builder. Here to learn the advantage of order, system, and service. Your life path is one of discipline and dedication. Wow, this numerical destiny perfectly captures his pragmatic, tournament-hardened coaching philosophy. Let's be real. He isn't brought in to play flashy, expansive football. He's brought in to establish order, build a fortress, and survive. And honestly, that is exactly what Ghana needs when they only have 72 days of preparation. However, the expert analysis verdict on this chart does come with a pretty serious caution. It warns of a challenging configuration where, quote, repeated obstacles tend to come from within. It specifically points out that patience, mentorship, and deliberate course correction are absolutely mandatory for him right now. And that begs a massive question for Ghana fans. Does Queiroz, operating in a falling momentum cycle and with barely any time on the training ground, actually have the patience and mentorship energy left to stabilize a fractured Ghanaian squad under the brightest lights in sports? Which brings us to our final, overarching thought for this explainer. Can Carlos Queiroz's legendary tactical discipline and structured pragmatism defy his own falling life graph momentum when he goes head-to-head against the analytical mastermind of Thomas Tuchel and the emotional, battle-tested resilience of Zlatko Dalic? Kickoff is finally here, and we're about to see if the numbers truly don't lie in the group of death. Keep a close eye on those sidelines, folks, because I have a feeling that is exactly where this war will be won. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and enjoy the matches.